Welcome back, everyone. Well, I'm at your favorite store and mine, Gilligallou Bird. Have a chat today with Bob. Let's go check it out.
It's been a while. How are you doing?
Doing peachy. How about yourself?
Very well, thanks.
That's good.
Very happy to be here
Yeah,
today.
I missed you. I haven't seen you for a long time.
I know.
Yeah.
It's long overdue, a trip to visit you here at the shop. And today we're going to be talking about owls.
Yeah, it's the prime season. It's a great time to kind of investigate that as an activity if you're so inclined. They're mating, or they're in the process of their mating process at the moment. So yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, a lot of times we think of, bird mating season, in early spring and, the small songbirds and whatnot. But this time of year, there's actually prime viewing for owls and other birds that are looking for mates, like ravens and crows.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some other early nesters like the gray jays. I'm going to be going to Algonquin Park in a couple weeks or so. Do a little winter camping, and there they have a beautiful population of gray jays that are monitored that they nest in the deep cold of winter in February.
I always like those little videos you see sometimes of the owlets, and they're all sitting together and they got about this much snow on top of their head. And,
yeah.
It's the same thing. We have conversations with people about migration.
Yes.
I'll talk about small migration patterns of, say, blue jays and those types of things, and people kind of tilt their head and think, because often migration means here to Mexico or something, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So mating season or the courtship season is the same kind of thing. It's different for different species.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
Yeah.
So in terms of the owls, where might we be looking for them? What are we kind of looking for?
Well, they're very active and very mobile right at the moment. So it enhances our ability to see them.
Mm-hmm.
But certainly they're vocal.
Yeah.
So the males are calling, they're working out their territory. This is mine, not yours, kind of thing.
Right.
That type of thing as well. And they're searching out active nesting sites. The nesting pairs that have been together for a longer period of time will use the same nesting site.
Okay, interesting.
But it's the offspring that then, when they become of age, they need to find their find spot. So they like by marsh and water. They'll eat snakes and crayfish and frogs and all that kind of stuff as an interim meal. And when you think about those owlets, as I mentioned, they grow exceedingly fast. They just go from babies to like this in a very, very short period of time.
Yeah. And
the male is constantly feeding them. So for food sources is a great spot. So the marshlands are great. I've installed many boxes in a variety of different areas.
Yeah.
And that's my aim. I remember one outside of Perth, Ontario, I put up a couple, 3-4 years ago. And they had a small acreage, 10 acres or something like that. And I said, is there any wetlands or water? And the guy said, oh yeah, there's marsh all at the back. Well, we tromped way back through water up to our hips, carrying this box that's about 40 pounds and a ladder because we were putting it up in this dead tree. But it was a beautiful, beautiful spot, and I'm sure they've had great success there.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, you quite often don't, I honestly didn't think of that. I always see them around here, especially snowy owls this time of year, farm fields and stuff.
Right.
So marsh is another great opportunity there to check it out. Some of them by the roadsides, by farm fields, because there's mice and whatnot scurrying across the fields too. So.
We have to be careful I find that the snowies and the bards as well, which we're primarily talking about here, the barred owls.
Yes, for sure.
They sit high and swoop low to get their prey, and that's when they have car collisions. So if you see one alongside the road, just be wary, because they're focused on what's the next meal, And I picked up a couple owls that have been hit by vehicles.
So unfortunate.
Yeah, so many birds get hit by cars these days. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's also important for respectful owl watching. If you do find an owl, we hear about some people, baiting them in with, like rats or mice and stuff like that. Or I've heard people sawing down trees to get a better view with their big Nikon, and that's not ethical bird watching. That's not kind of what Bob or I support at all.
No.
These birds are out there surviving in these harsh conditions. Like Bob said, they have nestlings potentially very soon, so they're going to be feeding. So you could be interrupting, their hunting cycle if you get way too close. You're harassing them with your vehicles, things like that.
And when you talk about snowy owls, they're here. I don't think the numbers are great this year, but they're definitely here.
Mm-hmm.
I preach about it all the time. I hate to use that word preach, but I do say that all the time, in that if you need to you capture their attention by getting so you can take a picture, you're way too close.
Exactly. That's a really good point. If they're looking around their head and they're looking at you and not their food source, that's a problem.
Way too close.
Way too close.
And particularly with the snowies that have migrated a big distance, you're interrupting their meal, perhaps, that they haven't had for a few days.
Yeah.
And then they're already stressed physically from the travel, and then we're stressing them more by getting too close. So
Exactly.
I talk to people that, don't take your cell phone to take pictures of owls, because
No.
Get a camera and get a lens.
Get a very long lens, and don't cut trees down to get the money shot.
That's right. Yeah.
And also being careful too about posting online owl photos. They potentially have metadata in there that shows location, and that can also draw other birders in that may not have the same ethical, views that you do on bird watching. So just be very careful. A lot of Facebook groups now ban pictures of owls and stuff like that, and discussion of location of where to find them.
They've become very common around feeders.
Oh, okay.
Because particularly people that are in a proper habitat where it's forested and what have you, they'll get the mice and stuff at night.
Feeding on the
and
seeds.
Squirrels and stuff that are there. Funny story, my daughter one time had a big tray on her pole system that we had for her, and she found this pellet that she didn't know what it was.
Wow.
In the tray. So the owl was sitting on top of the fly-through feeder she had, and the tray was underneath, and threw up the pellet. And I get this text, Dad, what is this? And how did it get in my tray?
So good question, Bob. What is an owl pellet for those of us who don't know what that is?
So they basically ingest, say, mice and moles and chipmunks and squirrels and all those types of things. Their digestive system absorbs all of the good, if you like, the meat and the fat and whatever else that they can get from it, and then it turns it into this little pellet that they regurgitate, and it's just bones and fur, basically. Cool. And that's what this pellet looked like. Of course, my daughter thought the shape of it reminiscent of, say, dog or something, or raccoon. And so, but as soon as I said, then the next thing was really funny. I said to her, "Well, put it in a Ziploc bag, put it in your freezer." And the next time I'm out, they don't live real close. Next time I'm out there, I'll look at it. So I phoned her. I said, "We're coming out, so get that thing out of the pellet out of the freezer." And so we put it on the bag on her counter, and I'm picking it apart with my knife, just
on her counter.
On her counter.
Nonetheless,
she didn't think that was a great idea.
But hey, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you can tell exactly what species they're eating. If you really get to the nitty gritty, there's little skulls in there. You can kind of identify them and stuff.
And there was all kinds of little bones.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, for sure.
Very, very cool. Well, let's take a look at this barred owl nesting box. The barred owls are out getting ready to hunker down in the nest. So Bob's got a really good nest box here. Let's check it out.
Yeah. So we're going to look at this barred owl box. We make nesting boxes for multiple species. Wood duck boxes. You can see some boxes on the wall here. Eastern bluebirds, chickadees, all that kind of stuff. We make a variety of different nesting boxes. But this is our crown jewel in a way, because it's such a large box. The owl is such a large bird. There's some features that are involved in it, like this perch limb. Very, very important in terms of the male will roost here when the female is in the box. The young, when they're getting more aggressive and starting to come out of the box, they will run up and down here and flap their wings and get all prepared to try to fly. It has a clean out on the side. There's a wire mesh on the inside that we put in there, some vent holes you'll see in the bottom. Funny, people say, what happens if the raccoons and the squirrels get in it? And I said, well, as soon as the owls show up, you won't have any problems with the squirrels or the raccoons. They'll be gone. But this perch limb is very, very important. We ship this all over North America as well, so it's a kind of a unique product. We take the perch limb off. You can get it on our website at gilligallowbird.com. But we just love that. Put that about 10, 15, 20 feet up on a post, on a tree, dead tree. I love dead trees for it, because dead standing is, unless it's rotten, but dead standing is very, very strong. And then you're not harming another tree by running screw nails and legs into it and stuff. As I mentioned, by water near a marsh, that type of thing. And then facing to the southeast. And with this big opening that is here to allow the entry into the box, if you face that straight to the west, particularly if we're thinking about the way the weather is today, that wind is blowing straight in that box. And we talk about that as a success pillar. So if we can do everything we can to upgrade the percentage of success of the box and provide that habitat, that's the key, and that's what we're after.
Well, speaking of owls hanging out near bird feeders, Bob has an excellent selection of premium seed here, as well as bird houses and feeders. So let's talk a little bit about the feeders and the seeds that Bob has.
Yeah, so we generally talk, kind of a couple different ways with respects to feeders. We love the fly-through feeders. We call it fly-through because it's wide open here and the birds can kind of come in and out. Galvanized bottom, mounting plate so you can put it on a pole. Just an excellent functional, practical. Everybody uses it, lasts forever. I was talking to a customer the other day and we've been here, will be 14 years. And
Congratulations, that's awesome.
Thank you very much. And they bought a flight or a tray, like I was talking about at my daughter's place, and she still uses it. It's 14 years old. She's never been inside.
Amazing.
Other than she says I scrub it out every once in a while.
Of course.
That's it never gets any maintenance basically, and she's still using it. But we really like the functionality and the quality of that. And the same thing with our seed blends. And the two main, our season urban, we blend for an urban location, or our season woodlands, and we blend for a rural location.
Right.
There's no waste or fill in it. It's the highest grade seed available. It's in a biodegradable bag. And the seasonal portion of that is all through the winter, it's very high in carbohydrates. Mm-hmm. And in the summer, it's very high in proteins.
Yeah.
Works fantastic.
Kind of
works fantastic. People talk about the consumption of birds too. With this seed, because of the food value in it, they don't consume as much and they don't waste any. So it's actually a much beneficial product.
Very beneficial. Yeah, exactly. And if any gets in the garden, potentially you could have some like beautiful little like sunflower seeds and things like that. But generally speaking, I mean, the seed is super clean, organic. The birds love it. They absolutely adore it. I use Bob's woodland mix at the cabin, and they're all over it.
Yeah, for sure.
They literally come to the window and ask me to fill the feeders when I get there.
Our gardeners actually love, so the garden friendly that we have right down in front of us here is essentially lens, except it's all hulled. So you don't get the hull waste, and because of the no hull, you don't get any germination. So our gardeners love that. And then we do have a straight hulled black oil sunflower seed blend, and it's just straight black hulled. But you can see the shape of the seed itself and how full they are. It's totally different. People will come in and say, "Have you got any chip, or have you got any chips?" Sunflower seed. I said, nope, I got the full seed, but I don't have any chipped one.
Yeah, and there's no powder in this.
Yeah, it's a totally different product.
Oh, that's amazing. So Bob and I are standing in front of some other feeders he has called the Squirrel Busters, the perennial favorite. Bob, tell us a bit about squirrels and feeders. And I know a lot of us see them around our feeders this time of year.
Yeah, well, so as I'm mentioning the fly-through and stuff, we put that on a pole system with a baffle so you don't have to fight with the squirrels. People come in all the time looking for those solutions, and that's a big part of what we do here, is provide those solutions. But the Squirrel Buster product itself is a Canadian company out of Moulton, Quebec. I'll throw this around a little bit. It's an excellent,
we love our Canadian product.
Yeah, lifetime warranty on it. I'm a full authorized dealer, so I do warranty work, whether you bought it here or not. I'll fix your feeder. I keep an inventory of parts so I can do that. Not very common, but I do get involved in that sometimes. They make their purchase very wide and very deep, so it accommodates all kinds of different species, like the cardinal as an example.
Awesome.
Because the cardinal is actually a ground feeder. People say, how do you attract cardinals? I said, well, you got to have a feeder that supports them. Yeah. Because they feed on the ground. And so then people say, oh yeah, I see them on the ground all the time. That's why.
Makes sense. Exactly.
So they really accommodate them. The mechanism is such that if a squirrel gets on it.
Oh, look at that. Yeah. I'm a squirrel.
Yeah. So squirrels are around 3/4 of a pound to a pound, and birds are 4 to 6 ounces, somewhere in there. So there's full adjustment. You can increase or decrease the amount of pressure it takes to close it. Just an all-around great product. Venting up through the bottom so your seed doesn't get wet and go moldy.
Yep. Very important.
Which is very important for safety and functionality.
Yeah, and fairly easy to clean too.
Yes, for sure.
And wipe down.
Easy to fill. Just take the top off.
Perfect.
Away you go.
Perfect.
And the mechanism is internal.
Yeah.
So we don't get any foul.
Good. Yeah. And it's also safe too. I had one squirrel try to get into, not a squirrel buster, but a different feeder, took the top off, kind of went in. But this is pretty heavy gauge. They're not going to get in there and get trapped kind of in the tube or anything like that.
No, not at all.
It's a really solid, very good product. And like Bob says, he does full service on these squirrel busters.
Look after them for sure.
We have another product here. Let's take a look at this.
Yeah, you know what happens when a duck flies upside down?
I don't know.
He's all quacked up.
little bird humor for you guys on this Sunday morning.
Sorry about that. Just thought I'd throw that in there.
But
Yeah.
well, I'm really happy that we spent the time together this morning. Thank you, Bob, taking time out of your busy morning to
appreciate
chat
it.
with us about owls and responsible owl viewing, nest boxes, and feeding options for the birds in your yard this winter.
Absolutely. Really appreciate it. And it was really nice to see you. Haven't
Always
seen
good
you
to
for a
see
long
you. I
time.
know. So we'll get together again. Perhaps we've got to get talking about spring migration in a short few months.
Yeah, it's
So
starting.
it's starting. So stay tuned to Bob's on Instagram and Facebook. I'll put the links down below, and also check out his website as well. He's got an online store and he ships all over. So you guys can enjoy these products, and he will ship to you. So I'll put a link down below in the comments as well.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Have a great day, guys. We'll see you in the next video.